Good afternoon, I'm Jeff. I'm a sewer tech Northwest. Today we're at 647 South Molla Avenue here in Molla, located at the left side of the home. We have a 4-inch ABS cleanout. I don't think we have any working fixtures we can get constant water flow from inside the house currently. I was able to flush the toilet, so I may have to do that a couple times throughout. We're going to pretty much be scoping this thing dry. We're checking the overall condition and serviceability of the sanitary sewer line. It does transition immediately to cast iron pipe here upon access. Here we go. Yeah, we have a Y connection here in the sewer line about 9 feet out. My concern there is that we may have a party line coming from the neighbor directly to the left of this home. I'll do some locates here in a bit and try and figure out where that's at exactly. Now, it looks like the line is transitioning here. It's kind of hard to tell what it is. It looks like ABS plastic. It's black. Now we might have Orangeburg pipe here though. And we've got a couple different root intrusions throughout the line. Now usually what happens to Orangeburg pipe, and again this is kind of a tough situation to tell, it could be ABS, but usually you don't get root intrusions through joints like this that commonly through ABS pipe. And normally what you get is that white staining on the top of the pipe in Orangeburg. Generally, by the time Orangeburg's been in the ground this long, usually it's smashed completely flat and the bottom becomes extremely deformed. It's a tar paper sewer line. And they just don't hold up. And it was a product that was banned sometime around the late 50s too because it's so prone to failure. We got root intrusions coming through multiple different joints all the way out. And this is looking like Orangeburg. The bottom of the pipe keeps kind of waving, dropping in and out here with standing water. I do believe that's what we have going on here. It's surprisingly round pipe though for Orangeburg. Usually it's very, very deformed. But you can see how there's kind of a bump there in the pipe as I go over that. That's usually what you see throughout Orangeburg all over the place. More root intrusion. And then it transitions here, it looks like over to concrete. Unfortunately that turn is so tight there, my camera is not making the turn. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and locate right here. We're likely near the street edge at this point as it's transitioning. Alright, located the camera head successfully. If you're standing in the street looking at the face of the home, the camera head right now is just off, I mean maybe less than a foot off to the left of the driveway. There's a little tree right at the front of the driveway just about 3 feet to the left of it, and the camera head is right in that area currently. I marked with a white X right here. This is where the root intrusion. There's also root intrusion in this transition joint here. It's kind of tough to see, but there's roots coming through, and we can't see the right side of the pipe there due to the turn. But from this point back to the transition from cast iron to Orangeburg, I recommend replacing. I'm going to get that all mapped out here using white paint. And I'm getting the depth here only about, I believe it was right around 3 feet deep, so it's very shallow. I'm going to do markings about every 10 feet all the way back to the transition point. Unfortunately, without being able to get all the way to the street edge, I stopped roughly 10 feet from the street edge. I don't know if the city takes responsibility at any point in this town. It's worth checking into that. So I unfortunately can't scope beyond where I got to there at 62 feet to check the rest of the line out to the main, where it transitions over to concrete. And concrete you see a lot of issues with as well, this age of home. So if it can be done, it would be worth doing. And I would suggest that the line here is only 2 feet deep all the way out to 62 feet. It's extremely shallow and easy to get to. So far, it's sitting about a foot off to the left side of the driveway, so it doesn't appear that you're necessarily going to have to dig under the concrete or cut through it. It's very close to the driveway, though, but only 2 feet deep, so you shouldn't need a big, giant hole. Anyhow, when the repair is done to replace the Orangeburg, I would suggest running a camera in through the repair site closest to 62 feet to check the rest of the line. That way, in the event that the rest of the line is shot, it can get repaired at the same time. The Orangeburg throughout here, it's got about 6 or 7, 8 different root intrusions throughout the pipe. It's settled all over the place. There's standing water throughout it, so I recommend it get replaced. At Orangeburg, the reason it was banned is it's so prone to failure. It will always fail. It usually collapses with time. Roots come through everywhere. It just falls apart. Okay, still riding up the side of the driveway. Still 2 feet deep there. The line is basically the exact same depth so far for the last 20 feet of the line. No, I'll mark the cast iron transition with a T. I'm going to map out the Y in the line. I highly recommend contacting the city about that because it could be a party line with the neighbor. It's angled coming basically straight from the house to the left of this home. I unfortunately have no way of testing it. There's no one home currently. Okay, we're at 1 foot 6 inches deep here. Getting closer to the clean out. At some point, it's probably going to turn and come under the driveway. So here's our cast iron transition. I'm going to mark this with a T. So from this point here at 13 feet out to 62 feet, I recommend replacing. And then from 62 feet out to the main is unknown at this time, as the camera was not able to make that turn there. Again, I recommend re-scoping it during the repair process. Get right up close to where that turn is at, put it down through the repair site, scope the rest of the line, see how it looks. And we're at 1 foot 4 inches deep here at the transition. This is still just off to the left of the driveway. And here's where it makes its turn, and we have the Y connection line. So I'm going to locate here and get this marked. Okay, this is marked with a big giant Y. And as I pull back here, I'm going to come straight underneath the concrete at this point. I'll do a marking about halfway to the clean out here. And we're at about 1 foot 4 inches deep underneath the concrete pad here. From this point, it's just going to come straight back. Anyway, the cast iron can probably remain. I'm just marking it in the event that it needs to be taken out. I just put a marking in the middle of the driveway from that point. It's very easy to figure out where the line's headed to the cleanout. Very shallow. But I do recommend replacing the entire Orangeburg section of the line from 13 feet to 62 feet. Rescope the rest of it when the repair site's opened up, or have the city scope back the other direction, one of the two. And then contact the city about the possible party line there at 9 feet. There's a Y connection there, and the Y stub is coming straight. It's coming straight from the direction of the house to the left. I don't know what else that Y connection would be necessarily, so get a hold of the city. Hopefully they can help figure it out.